Hi everyone. As Joanna and Daniel have introduced themselves, I am Natalie. I am a senior doctor's practice drafter in Bexhill, and like Daniel and Joanna, I have got about 8 years experience with Xero. So hopefully my little bit is just going to be going through some additional little features that you may or may not know about. So following on from Daniel's talking about debt collection, I am going to show you how to set invoice reminders. So this is quite a handy little tool. So if you click on business and invoices, you can see that there is a little button there that says about invoice reminders. Now this is quite a little handy tool as it takes out some of the admin work, which makes things a bit simpler for you. So to set this up, all you need to do is go in here and click on invoice reminders. Just very quickly, as you can see, in most of your screens, you will have a little Xero video that will help if you need to learn any additional bits. Okay, so on invoice reminders, once you're in it, as you can see, they preset some invoice reminder emails and when they may be going out. You can edit this as much as you like. So if I click on this one, you can see that they've got due in and overdue by. You can tailor the preset template that they have put in there for you, and all you have to do is save it. When they send invoice reminders, you can tick the additional boxes here. The first one allows for a quick link to any online invoice and the details. The second one, obviously, as it states, you can include the PDF version of the invoice. And then the third option is an option whereby if you don't send out invoices under a certain amount, you can preset that. This is quite straightforward. Again, once it's set up, it makes things a lot easier. So I'm going to set that to, no, don't send any reminders out for under £50 and save that. And if I go back into my invoices, it will now send them out when I want them to. You can select customers whereby you don't want invoices going to, and it's as simple as just clicking on an invoice. And under invoice options, just say turn off reminders. And there we go. It's now turned off all reminders for Mr. Smith. So if I can go back into invoices, it will then show you on the reminders side here that it's been turned off for him. So again, very straightforward and simple to use, but a very handy tool to save some admin time of chasing people up. Very next little bit that I find quite useful is tracking options. Now, tracking options is a very handy tool if you've got a business whereby you want to keep an eye on certain things. One of them, for instance, is like if you've got various branches or departments, you can set these up and then you just need to allocate transactions to these so that you can keep an eye on them. So the easiest thing to do is go to Accounting and Advanced. And down the left-hand side here, you've got tracking categories. Now, with tracking categories, you can only have only up to 4 categories. 2 of them can be active and 2 of them can be archived. You cannot have any more. So that's the only downside, is you can only have a limited number of tracking categories. However, within each tracking category, you can have up to 100 options. So as you can see here, I've set up one already for branch, and I've just very simply called them East, North, South, and West. And again, all you need to do is hit Add Tracking to add another one. Okay, simple as. So what happens now that you've set it up? I'm just going to use going from the bank as an examples. So I'm going to go into my reconcile. Okay, now I'm going to use this Mr. Smith here, and all I'm going to do is put in here the details. Now, this is where the little branch comes up. So you can see here, it's now got branch, and I'm going to allocate it. Now, it's not just on here. If you hit add details and expand it, it will have the additional column here to select which branch you want. Okay. I'm going to save that and reconcile it. Okay. I'm now going to pick an additional one. Okay, just so I can show you on the report how it would look. Okay, so once you've obviously allocated enough to various of these tracking codes, all you need to do then is to have, if you want to look at them, if you go to reports and profit and loss, and what you'll see is compare branch down the side here. Okay, so if I can click on compare branch, I'm going to change my year end. Okay, and hit update. And there we go. You can see the two transactions that I've allocated to the branches. Okay, like I said, this is a very handy tool if you need to compare anything. Obviously, the unassigned is where you've not obviously been assigned to a branch, and which you can either go through or leave them as they are. Okay. All right. So again, that is as simple as it gets for tracking. Again, as Daniel's pointed out before, you can save as a draft, as published. If you want to, then that is it for the for what you want to report on, and then send to any of the higher and upper management. And if you need to, you can always export. There's PDF, Excel, Google Sheets, the works. So easy enough. And again, as Daniel's pointed out, you've got edit layout and you can insert content. Okay. Now, very quickly, the next one I'm going to just jump on board with is missing bank statement lines. This is something that comes up very frequently. Sometimes there is no rhyme or reason why statement lines have not been imported. But again, there are three easy fixes. Right. So the first one that we have is basically where you may have accidentally deleted a bank transaction line. Okay. And it's quite easy to fix. In this instance, I've done one before. So if you click onto the bank name, you'll come into account transactions. If you find the bank statements tab, as you can see, there's a line that's been deleted. Or as simple as ticking it on the left-hand side and hit restore. This will then come back onto your reconcile screen for you to reconcile at a later date. The second option is basically where, for whatever reason, a day or more's transactions have not been imported. So what you'll need to do is you'll need to go into your bank and download a CSV report of the transactions. And then once you have that, you come back into Xero. Under Manage Account, there is an import statement. And you can get to that from wherever in Xero. What you'll need to do next is download the Xero's CSV bank template. You'll need to then copy the transactions from what you've downloaded from the bank onto the Xero's template, save it, and then upload it into here. If you click on next, it will then tell you how it's allocated all the columns. The next step after that will be a case of, it will say this is what we've imported and if there's any problems. Once you've imported it, then you'll have all your bank statements on in Xero from there. It's quite simple. The only thing is you need to make sure that you check that this bank balance here matches to your actual bank statement. So keep an eye on that one as you go forward. Right, the third option is for sorting out any missing lines on transactions. Is the easiest way I find is going to clicking on there on the bank name, being in the account transactions, and then clicking on the new transaction button. You can get to that from anywhere. There's usually a plus sign up here, which means you can then add or spend money. These ones will go to the bank, but I prefer this way. So if you click on new transaction, and I'm going to put in, let's go, for instance, today's date. Now, very quickly, nice little tip, if you need to add things very quickly without a calculator, I go 15 plus 15. I know it's very expensive bread. It's for a meeting. And hit to refreshments, and then save. Right, so it's there now. But this way doesn't automatically put it into your reconcile screen. You need to manually reconcile this. Now, take a note over here on this little bit where it's got remove redo, and at the moment there's no item selected. You need to enable an additional button on this screen. And to do that, you need to click on the help. And then at the bottom, move into the middle here, there's an enable mark as reconciled. You tick that, and then a magic little more button appears. Okay, it's got two options, one is mark and reconciled and an unmark as reconciled. So I'm going to mark this one, manually mark this one as reconciled, because I know it's gone through the bank, but it hasn't come on the reconcile screen, but I've added it in. So you tick it, you hit more, and then you mark as reconciled. That will just be a little warning, but it's absolutely fine, and just hit mark as reconciled again. Okay. Right, so those are just a few of the little extra bits in the background that hopefully will make a bit of admin time easier with various things. I'm going to make a quick note. Last week, Daniel, Joanna, and myself were on a Xero product update course, and they have informed us, which I'm now informing you, that if you're still using old reports, so if I go into reports, the old version, old style reports are now going to be retired on the 31st of July this year. So if you're using those ones, please start looking at the newer versions, so you don't find yourself in a position where you need to then at last minute look at the new ones. I don't know if any of you use Workflow Max. It's an additional program, but if you do, just so you are aware, that will be retiring next year in June. So again, you may want to start looking at the additional apps to find something similar. I don't know if any of you use any foreign currencies, but that'll be on the premium Xero package. If so, just so you know that they have now added features in for reporting on foreign currencies. So again, that will hopefully make things a lot easier for you. And they've added 2 new reports last week. We've got a general ledger detail and a general ledger summary. Again, I don't know how many of you use those, but that's quite handy. And then lastly, I know it might be a very small, simple thing, but I like these little things because they make my life a little bit easier. They have introduced on the bank reconciliation a auto refresh for transactions. So what that means is when you've got similar items, you can then just, once you've entered the detail onto one transaction, it will copy the transactions through to the various similar transactions as well. So very quickly, we have here, so as you can see, we've got 2 central parking transactions here. So I'm going to use this one as an example. Okay, and I'm going to put it to travel. And select a branch just for the sake of it. Now watch, as I reconcile that one, this one here will then automatically fill. Okay, so it's a nice little new feature. I'm quite excited about it. I don't get excited about much. And hopefully that might make things a little bit easier for you. So hopefully that is, if there's anything on those, just shout. There is loads of little features, but obviously just looking at the time and stuff, we haven't got, we could be here all day going through all the little bits. I'm just looking at the comments. Yes, there will be a recording. We will get that all out to you, and there's also notes if you haven't downloaded them already, but we will send those out with the recording, so you have those as well. Hopefully that was hopefully that helped, and I'll pass back to Daniel for you.
Thanks, Natalie. That was really good. Hopefully you lot have found this useful, the topics and discussions useful. As I say, we're part of the Xero team at Honey Barrett, are here to try and help you use Xero better, to get more help and support out of the software. And just in general, we are here for any sort of Xero queries or anything that you may have. One thing just to also mention is that we do have a Honey Barrett YouTube channel. And on that YouTube channel, if you Google search it, you will find previous webinars that we've done, and actually the bank reconciliations, and we go into much more detail and show a demonstration of how you can fix those, because it is one of the common things that unfortunately does tend to happen, the bank dropping out. But also on that YouTube channel, there are plenty of other videos and demonstrations that may become useful to you. So I would just say thanks for watching us today. If there is any more questions, please do throw a question into the chat box or open up your mic now, and we'll be more than happy to answer questions. But otherwise, hope you have a good day. And yeah, just remember, if you've got any Xero queries and you're part of the Honey Barrett, to drop us an email, and we're more than happy to help at any stage.